Hello. I hope everyone is doing well. Um, the election is happening, so life is a little bit crazy there, and just everything else that's also been happening. I hope to make some more smaller, specialized videos talking a little bit about isolation and about the election and things like that. But I got up super early today, and around 8:30, I decided I'm going to go for a walk today, and I spent 2 hours walking. And while I was walking, I decided I want to make a video today. And so here we are. Um, I mentioned in the previous video that I'm not always going to go so heavy. I thought about going back to the drawing board and how to start again to create more content. So, my main goal with this entire Instagram project is basically to come back to my roots and to find out who I am, but also um, to explore and to play with different versions of myself, also to learn about who I am. So I don't really want to create any rules in making these videos. If I want to talk about isolation one day, if I want to talk about what I'm drinking, if I want to talk about deep, dark trauma of the past, I think I'm just going to take it day by day and kind of whatever chooses to motivate me, then that is the way in which I'll go forward. I also don't think I'm going to completely abandon the storyline that I've given or provided from before. So I think that I will go back into that because the way that I have it structured, I believe that it's not too bad now that we've set up some kind of base themes. But today I just want to talk a little bit about family. So I come from two large families, actually. My mother has 7 siblings, and my father has 4. However, when I talk about family for the most part these days, it generally means just my mother. She is the only person consistently in my life. She's pretty much been my best friend since high school. We used to have these beanie babies. It's funny because in high school, or starting high school, my mother made fun of me for always playing with toys and kind of not making friends. To which I forced myself to grow up and threw away all of my toys, which would probably be collectibles nowadays, overnight, and then was very bored and disappointed the days following. Anyway, she made fun of me for that, but then we had these two beanie babies called Venus and Volcar. They're dragons from the Zodiac series, and we used to play with those all the time. They were like our way of being funny. We would make them mad at each other. We would react to television. It's probably pretty fucking weird, but it's got us through some good times. In fact, I think, other than I think I only have really good memories of my mom. The bad ones that I have would be tied to what I talked about before, but also her string of dating throughout the years has not been so successful. She just recently got married, so congratulations. Let's hope for the best. But Larry, we can talk about in a whole nother video. In fact, I will. But that entire situation, it made my mom feel like my best friend and kind of my savior and the one person I could kind of count on to get me through it. The unfortunate thing I think is that love makes you do crazy things and it makes you stay in situations that maybe you don't want to be in. And I think that our relationship could have only been better if Larry were not there. I think that having that common denominator of him making everyone miserable made us bond. So I guess in that way it's great, but overall he was not the best. The other memory I wrote down of my mother specifically is just I remember her getting ready with Tammy to go out clubbing to what was that club called? Paradox, maybe. That was other gay clubs and stuff off of George Street. But I remember helping her pick out her outfits, and that was something that I helped with quite a lot actually. Having a gay son came in handy. I also always associate the smell of Aquanet with my mother because when she would get ready in the morning, she would put so much hairspray on, and I could taste it. It's actually a scent and a taste memory for me. My dad, he tried his best. The sad part when I think back about my father recently is that I don't really remember what his laugh sounds like. I can only remember his annoyed or his angry voice. I can remember in high school that we got drunk at his house one night and he just kept saying, "Throw the dog on the grill," and he was laughing a lot, repeating that over and over. And so that is one memory that I have that is better. But I mean, he was young, he was alone, and he tried his best, and he always provided for me. So I never wanted for anything. Like I said, he wasn't responsible with money. We would have bills cut off, but I never knew much of the depth of how that went. So I think in that sense, he did a really good job. Other family members, I will touch on briefly, just because I think, you know, maybe they deserve a shout out. My aunt Sherry, maybe she's watching this, but I always remember just laughing with Sherry, and a lot of my times at her house were just the best. Not that she necessarily was directly involved in those memories, but being in her house was a really happy place for me. I was really close to my cousin growing up, Brittany, who always got her way, so we called her Bratney. We used to fight physically, mentally, psychologically. We were always at each other's throats, but we were also best friends. We did have a falling out towards high school, and towards the end, it was getting a little bit rocky. I don't know to what degree we can decipher that and figure out where things kind of went astray. Basically, I remember one of our last fights. She was having a really hard time just living. I remember she said something about the devil possessing her, but I think she was just saying that for attention. And in the end, she ended up calling me a faggot or something. And I was just kind of like, okay, you kind of push out a lot of people in your life who are really good to you. I watched her, for years treat her mom not the way I thought she should have been treating her. My grandmother, she used her like a doormat. And this is only my opinion. I mean, there's probably a lot more dynamics going on that I am fully aware of. But from what I remember, this was someone who was given a lot of things and she wasn't very appreciative. So I think that calling me a faggot and stuff, that was just kind of the last straw for me. It was kind of like I felt like I was one of the bridges that she had strongest built. Um, and so I kind of cut her out of my life. I did recently try to become friendly with her again, at least through social media. However, I saw that she's now like posting Breitbart news and being very Republican, very anti-mask. I don't know if that's the new relationship that she's in or the life path that she's taken. However, I just, because I grew up not having much family, I'm very easy to cut people out, which is probably not a good thing, but it is the way that it is. Sherry, like I said, I was always laughing. She tells the story of like we went to the steakhouse, one of our last memories together. She says I made her laugh so hard there, but she was just such a happy, fun person. Um, and I don't think she knows how much that was like refuge for me. I also remember I think it was maybe Tanya's graduation, that she had a friend there and she was eating a pickle in a very strange way. And I mentioned about her deep throating a pickle, and everyone was surprised to know the depths of my knowledge at a very young age. Chris was also a big person in my life. Now, when I talk about Chris, it's my Aunt Chris. However, I believe that he's transitioned now, so it'd be my Uncle Chris. Um, but Chris was a queer role model for me. Having paved the path of coming out before me, it made it very easy for me to come out via my dad's side of the family. This is my dad's brother. I remember him giving me a paperweight, so I always associated kind of craftsy things with him. I know that he went to a hospital for a while, had a mental breakdown or something. I'm not sure of the full extent of that or what it entails, but I know that crafts came out of that, and it was something that I cherished for a very long time. The things that I have given from him. I also have written down basically two things that Chris taught me was that all gay people were family. So that sense of community, which he told me that at a very young age, probably knowing that I was gay, and I didn't think much about it. But that's a quote that's always stuck with me. My other favorite memory of Chris is that we used to stay up late. Now I was in elementary school, so I don't really know how I was functioning or why this was allowed, but basically we would stay up super late and we would play two TVs at once. One playing Beavis and Butthead, so that would be like music and them making commentary, and us playing Super Nintendo on another TV muted, playing Super Mario World. And he was friends with someone who ran like a beer distributor or something, and we used to get these change banks of Tootsie Rolls, and they would be they're huge, and we would just eat Tootsie Rolls all night, and my dog Baby would lay with us, and we would wake up just like covered in Tootsie Rolls, and yeah, it was always so much fun. Other than that, I have written down about my grandmother. So my great grandmother was someone very influential in my life. Great grandma Elliker. I remember going to her house very fondly. She was from Australia. I remember her accent. I remember talking to her and writing her letters. She was someone I loved a lot. I think she passed away when I was young, maybe around 10 or so. And unfortunately, I don't think I was enough of a person. My father had told me to write letters and stuff, but I didn't do enough of it. We didn't hang out a lot, and I really wish that we had had more time together, because I think I would have liked to have seen how her relationship in my life would have developed, um, and maybe my sense of family would be completely different. My grandmother, my dad's mom, Nana, she was not very nice to me growing up. I don't know why. The story goes that great grandma Elliker favored the boys, so the girls were neglected. And so I guess then my Nana Marilyn chose to favor girls. So Brittany got everything she ever wanted from Nana. And, okay, so she wanted a girl. And I know that she really loved my mother. So there are lots of, like, clear reasons as to, that she just loves girls. However, growing up, she was kind of just rude to me and, like, excessively mean. I once wanted to go to her house because my cousin Brittany was there, and she was like, "No, I don't want you there because you dig through my stuff," which is strange because we never had a relationship in the sense that I would be there long enough to do that. And as she's telling me that, my cousin calls me back right after, and she's like, "Oh, she's such a bitch," and then she's on the phone with me digging through her stuff just to prove a point that, like, yeah, my dad moves in with her sometime in high school, and after that, our relationship does repair. When I start being in Occupy Philly, she connects to that. She's very liberal, very outspoken, so I do think that in some senses we have a lot in common. But yeah, I don't really know why things were the way they were growing up with family. Um, I could probably ask them now and find out. But when I talk about it in a general sense, other than bringing up these people, um, it is my mother. My mother is my family from back home now. My Aunt Sherry, my Uncle Chris, um, are still part of my life, and I still love them. But when it talks about other things, sometimes I think about, like, what if someone passes away while I'm abroad and things like that, and I don't know how I'm gonna react. I haven't seen my Nana in many years, so I'm not sure what that situation's like. I know she has a boyfriend, but and as far as my father goes, like, I I'm not sure how I feel about all of that. So that's pretty much an overview of, like, the big players going forward. This video is approaching 15 minutes, and I want to try to stop it because that is the max for Instagram, and it does make my life easier if it's clean. So yeah, you have kind of some key memories with some key family members, and perhaps in the future we will touch further on them, or I can bring them up and you kind of have an idea now. And you also understand that family is kind of a foreign idea for me. So with that said, enjoy your day, and yeah, maybe I'll make another. Who knows, huh? Bye.